Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Jake and we mostly talk about stand-up here. That's what we're gonna do today at least. We've talked a lot on this channel about YouTubers who go from YouTube and then travel over to the stand-up world. Now, I've been a stand-up comedian for over 10 years and I've been a YouTuber for about 20 minutes. I am probably the only YouTuber exactly knowledgeable in both of these specific niches, so if you want to see more content like this, then please hit like and subscribe, but let's get on to it. Now, a few weeks ago, I talked about Noel Miller's most recent stand-up specials, but the other day, I had the opportunity to go see Noel Miller live. Yes, I saw him in the flesh, and it was interesting. Now, not only am I going to talk about Noel Miller's performance specifically, I'm going to talk about the show as a whole, the venue, the entire lineup, because he was not the only one who performed. So let's get into it. Now, the show was held at the Hollywood Improv. I've been to the Hollywood Improv a couple of times to do their open mic. I don't know what it is about bucket style open mics, but I just don't go up, or if I do, it's last. If you've been following me for a while, you know this is the lore. Here's me complaining about it in New York City.
This is impossible. Every single bucket mic I've ever gone to in my life, I've gone last. I'm not mad about it. I'm baffled statistically, right? Because, like, at first I was like, okay, that's okay. But for 6 years, it's not likely.
But the Hollywood Improv is a club I am familiar with. Now, it's interesting to go see a YouTuber live because you get to see what kind of audience that they cultivate, like everyone comes together. And the room seemed to be largely white. There was a lot of goth chicks with dyed hair and bangs. I almost relapsed. And it was a Tuesday night. A late Tuesday night. So I can only assume the entire audience, including myself, was unemployed. Now, I expected Noel to do some time. I expected him to do probably like an hour. And I expected for him to have maybe 1-2 openers, a host. That's what I was expecting because that's what I'm used to when I see a famous comedian live. Usually they are the focal point of the show. You are there to see them work on likely an hour's worth of material, maybe 45 minutes, maybe hour 10, hour 20. And usually there'll be people, you know, on the road, openers, hosts, what have you. But this show is a little different. Now, there was, I think, like 6 or 7 comics on the lineup that went up before Noel, and everybody did time. Like, it was a long show. I think every comic did at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes. And I want to go ahead and say off the bat, everybody was fantastic. The show was great. The host brought great energy, and it was so funny. The host had to do a lot of uphill work because everyone there is expecting to see Noel. And this is just what happens in the comedy world in general. When you're expecting to see your headliner, you get tickets to see Noel, you get tickets to see your guy, right? And then the host comes on and the audience goes, "Who's this fucking guy?" You know? So the host is the most thankless but most respected spot on the lineup. Thank you, all those good hosts out there. And even though his performance was great, like, I could tell he was very professional, he was very good, he fucking crushed, but the audience was tired. It was a late Tuesday evening, and everybody was expecting to see Noel. So the fact that he got any laughs out of us, kudos to the host. And then it was banger comic after banger comic after banger comic. I don't know if all of them are like signed with like Tiny Meat Gang Productions or whatever, or if it's just Noel's friends, or if even the Hollywood Improv booked this show. I have no idea. All I know is everybody on the lineup fucking crushed it. Your name escapes me right now, but especially you. Oh God, she was so fucking good. She was like literally the female embodiment of Larry David. At one point she made a joke and then she looked at me, who was sitting in the front row. She takes her 2 fingers and she goes, "Scissor me." And then I go, boom, I scissor her right back. And she goes, "He didn't even hesitate. This guy fucks." And I am not beating those allegations. But that's what I want to talk about here, because this was the most interesting thing about the Noel show that just made me want to do this video. We're all there to see Noel. The expectations are set. We're going to see this guy, right? And it's late, and everyone's crushing. I was clapping my ass off the entire time. Like a seal. I was having such a good time. But you're getting 5-6 comics deep. I whisper to my friend Dante, who's sitting right next to me, because I'm assuming Noel's about to go on. And I whisper to him, I go, "This show is really, really good, but this crowd is exhausted. This crowd is fucking tired." I whisper that to him, and then Noel comes on, and Noel goes, "Damn, y'all are tired, aren't you?" Clocked it! Fucking clocked it! God, I know how to read a fucking room. And then we're watching Noel. Finally, the moment we're all here for. And I didn't really know what to expect when Noel got on stage. I've seen his 2 specials, and his specials are polished, right? His specials are, he's been on the road, he's been working on it for a while, and he's filming it. Like, this is the moment where we're actually putting a polished product out into the ether, right? And this show was not that. This show, and this is why I love seeing comics I love live, because it was Noel trying stuff out. He was loose. He was doing crowd work. He was looking at his notes. The same thing happened when I saw Louis C.K. live. Towards the end of the show, they pull out their notes and they go, did I miss anything? Nope. Talked about that. Yep, I'm good. Talked about all the things I want to talk about, It's so lovely to see the process, happen. You get to see how the sausage is made. And as somebody who loves sausage, that doesn't ruin the sausage experience for me. That's gonna get clipped, isn't it? But the material itself was something that was very in line with stuff I've already seen from Noel. It was dark. It was irreverent. It was referential to some of the stuff going on in his personal life, whether it be his, trauma, Noel Miller talks about his trauma around SA at a very young age, which was talked about in previous specials. He also talks about having a son. Every single time a comedian goes through a big life event, whether it's getting married, having a kid, a breakup, or a divorce, hey, if you're dating a comic, expect them to talk about it. And that's what Noel did. It was deeply personal, but it was also deeply funny. There's a reason why I gave Noel Miller the only positive review out of all the YouTube reviews I have done on YouTube specials. It's because while Noel Miller is a YouTuber, he's also just a very talented creative in general. He's a good producer. He is a good comedian. He is a fantastic artist, a director. I will suck this man's dick right here live on camera. I was clapping so hard during the show. He looked at me point blank in the front row and said, "Bro, do your hands hurt?" I said, "Little bit. Little bit." And that's what's fun. Normally, comics are not supposed to sit in the front row. I should not have sat in the front row. I was just placed in the front row, and I was just excited to see Noel, so I didn't really give a fuck. I sat in the front row. And I did not heckle. I did not heckle, okay? But sometimes, I laugh a lot, I'm big, I'm bombastic, I'm a big personality, all right? I'm sitting in the front row. Also, the whole audience is fucking dead because they're sleepy, okay? Me? I'm trying to bring the room back up. I've always been a good audience member, all right? At one point, towards the very, very end of the show, he was doing a bit about confusing 2 historical figures. He said, "Oh, I always confuse Anne Frank and who else? Who else?" And I said out loud, "Helen Keller." I don't mean to brag, but yeah, I got a laugh. I wasn't even on stage and I got a laugh. Thank you. And by the time Noel was getting off stage, I was already so enamored by all the comedians that had got on stage. The crowd is already tired, but we did pay money to see Noel. Now, I am not displeased with the show at all. I had a fantastic time. But I could see the argument that if other people who were expecting to see Noel, and they maybe only got 30 minutes of Noel at the end of the show, if they're not fans of comedy, but fans of Noel, I can see the argument of them being a little disappointed. But me, as a fan of Noel and as a fan of stand-up, I was grinning ear to ear the whole show. The Hollywood Improv is a fantastic venue, and every single comedian brought their fucking A-game and crushed it, in spite. Oh, this is what's so fun about stand-up. Everybody was so good in spite of the audience being sleepy and tired on a Tuesday night. And when the show was over, there was a bit of a meet and greet. In fact, the Tiny Meat Gang Studios basically did a complete overtaking of the Hollywood Improv parking lot. They were filming a bunch of stuff for, I assume, their various social channels. Here I am photobombing one of their things completely on accident. I did not mean to do that. And I got to shoot the shit with Noel a little bit after the show. I went up to him and I said, "Hey, you're welcome for that Helen Keller alley-oop." And he said, "Bro, are your hands okay?" I said, "Yes, they're fine. I appreciate you." I introduced myself as the biggest crybaby on YouTube. He said, "Who?" I said, "Never mind, don't worry about it." We talked briefly about the Mr. Beast appearance on the Tiny Meat Gang podcast. Really, we just talked, It was cool. Noel seems like a really down-to-earth dude. He was willing to meet with every single fan after the show who wanted to talk to him. And he wasn't like pretentious about it, you know? He spoke to everybody like a human being. Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I would give Noel's individual performance an 8 out of 10. Again, it wasn't a special. It was a loosey-goosey headliner spot on a lineup full of an audience that was excited to see him. And he was experimenting with stuff. So in that context, crushed it. Professional, absolutely. If I was judging it based on if it was a special, if it was a polished piece fit for public consumption, then maybe I would review it a little less favorably, but that's not what it was. Context matters. And the entire show itself was great. I would give the entire night a fucking 9 out of 10. And I would give all the comics I saw in that lineup a 9 out of 10. They were all fucking great. You wanna know why? It's because none of them were YouTubers first. Okay, everybody on that lineup except Noel was a stand-up first, okay? And Noel brought the heat as a YouTuber who does stand-up. He held his own against these killers that he had on stage before him. So for Noel to pull out a good performance on a very late Tuesday night in front of a very tired audience who had just been bombarded with some excellent stand-up, Noel knocked it out of the park. Not only that, but the whole show was knocked out of the park, and the meet and greet after was knocked out of the park. So if you're a fan of Noel and want to know what he's like live, I highly recommend going to see him at any opportunity you can. The show will not disappoint. And then out of nowhere, Cody I'm kidding. No, but now that I'm living in LA, I'm gonna have a lot more opportunities to see wonderful, wonderful comedians. I'm gonna have a lot of opportunities to see some wonderful YouTubers do stand-up. My finger's gonna be in your pulse a little more. So if there's a comedian that you want me to go watch live and review, leave it in the comments. Is there a YouTuber you want me to watch their content that's stand-up adjacent and give that a review? Leave it in the comments. If you're a fan of mine and you want to see more of me, then you can join the Patreon or you can become a member, where you will get access to early content, priority engagement, all that jazz, blah, 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 blah. But if you like this and want to see more, just go ahead and like and subscribe. All that jazz. I appreciate you.